What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Screen Kings. My name is Christian, and today I'm going to be reviewing for you guys the new Steven Spielberg film, Disclosure Day. Is it any good? Let's dive in, y'all. I feel like we cannot talk about Disclosure Day without talking about some of Steven Spielberg's other good works. And personally, my favorite film that has ever been made by Steven Spielberg is Jaws, which is probably, I would say, my second favorite film of all time. And then after that, my second favorite Spielberg film is Lincoln. I thought that was phenomenal. So those are my two favorite Spielberg films of all time. His work with aliens and stuff like that, it's not that they're bad movies like E.T. and stuff like that, but I've just never been the biggest alien person. So going into Disclosure Day, I didn't really have high expectations, especially after watching the trailer. It didn't really draw me in. I was just going because it was another movie coming out, and of course, the name attached to it, Spielberg. I would say if Spielberg wasn't attached to this film, then I don't really know if I would have gone out to see it. So that's kind of the background of my experience walking into Disclosure Day. So I went to a screening in my local AMC and IMAX, and rather than having trailers before the film, they actually had the live Q&A session where we were able to submit questions for Emily Blunt and Spielberg to answer, which I thought was very cool. Now, they didn't get to my question or a lot of questions, but it was cool for him to talk about this film that he made. And I really got the sense that for Spielberg, this film was a passion project. He is really invested in extraterrestrial life, aliens, and it seems like he really has a thirst for this kind of content. So I just love seeing his passion behind this film. And overall, that was just a really cool experience to get him kind of share his heart on this film, and not only this film, but aliens as a whole. You might hear this from a lot of people, but I want to start off with some of the good. I think the best part about Disclosure Day, at least personally for me, and you might hear this from other people, is the Emily Blunt performance. I think this is one of the better performances that she has given in quite some time. She really sells her part, and she is the only character that I really found that I truly felt myself emotionally invested in. And I don't think it has to do with how the character is written. I think it's just the strong Emily Blunt performance that she gives. Now, she is kind of the main character in this film. There are multiple main characters, two in particular, but she is really the main focal point that for me really sold the emotional weight of the film. There's certain scenes that require a lot of range, a lot of emotion when she comes to understand certain things that are taking place. And I feel like if this role was in the hands of a lesser actress, if you will, it might have come off as a little bit cheesy, a bit melodramatic, but Emily Blunt here really sells a lot of the emotional core of the film. And I think she is probably the biggest stand out of the film. I also really enjoyed Colin Firth here. He, I think, is an amazing actor. He is in one of my favorite films of all time in The King's Speech. I thought he was phenomenal in that. So when I saw him in this, I was really excited for it. And again, while the script doesn't give him much to do because of his acting chops, he really elevates what's off the page. Every time he was on screen, I thought that he was very compelling, very interesting as the antagonist, and I really thought that his perspective that if alien, the idea of alien life being disclosed to everybody would upset the established order, I thought was a really compelling take, right? On one hand, there's this group of people that feel like it should be known that to disclose aliens are real. And on the other hand, it's him and his faction that believe this could upset the established order. And I thought that was a very interesting dynamic, and I thought Colin Firth really sold that role. Another thing with him that I thought was very, very interesting and probably some of my favorite parts of the film, while it's not explained very well, Colin Firth's character has a little bit of alien technology that he had stolen from one of the crashes of aliens from the past, and basically gives him the opportunity to almost kind of possess or compel certain people through their mind by looking at images through them. And I thought all of that kind of stuff, while it's not well explained, was very engaging and very compelling. So the Colin Firth performance and what he does with the alien technology that he's acquired and that emotional Emily Blunt performance, I would say are the best parts of Disclosure Day. I also really liked how this film is kind of dealing with the idea of how would the world respond to the idea that aliens exist. It's not an alien invasion film or anything like that. It's really wrestling with how would people respond? How would this affect governments? How would religious belief systems be affected by disclosure? And one of my biggest gripes is while it explores that on the surface, when it's really time to dive into it and show how things would play out, the film pretty much cuts out. And that's why I think the third act really struggles for Disclosure Day. First two acts are built upon mystery, what's taking place. Bits and pieces are slowly being revealed about what's going on. And then when we finally get to the third act, everything is revealed and you feel like you're going to finally figure out, okay, how is the world actually respond? And it kind of leaves off on a cliffhanger. And I think Spielberg might have done that because it almost passes the baton to the audience or the people in the real world like us on how would you respond, to listen, to be empathetic if something like this did take place. But as far as the film go, I did want to see a little bit more about how the world would react if something like this was disclosed. Another big problem I have, and I've probably mentioned this earlier when I'm talking about the performances, is that the script is not very well put together. I don't think it fleshes out its characters enough. I don't think it establishes what the alien tech does enough, even though it is very interesting and produces some very cool scenes. And I also feel like the dialogue within the film is very exposition heavy, or almost at times over explains what's going on to the audience. It definitely leans more into tells and doesn't show. And I think that could sometimes make for a very boring experience unless you're fully invested in what is going on. So I think the overall problem with Disclosure Day, while the performances are great, while there is a very interesting premise, I think the script needed a few more passes to really show us what was going on and not just tell. But the performances really help with this. Coleman Domingo, Colin Firth, Colin Firth, Emily Blunt, Coleman Domingo, all of them. I mean, there's so many people in this that I can't really remember all the names, but everyone is giving a good performance even when the script is not aiding them. So overall, guys, I thought Disclosure Day was a pretty solid film. I think the first two acts are definitely stronger than the third. It really builds the mystery and the unfolding of what is going on, and that really keeps you engaged. Also, the alien tech stuff I thought was very interesting, and the performances do a pretty good job. Also with this film, it's a Spielberg film, so it looks great. The direction is great. The cinematography is great. I mean, I didn't even mention John Williams' score is in here. I thought that was very good as well. He always gives a great score. So there's a lot of elements in this concoction of a film that really work nicely together. But I think where it's held back is, of course, that script. I think it could have been given a couple more passes. So overall, guys, I would personally give Disclosure Day a 7.5 out of 10. I think is definitely worth checking out in theaters if you are a Spielberg fan and if you enjoy alien content. I will say one major kind of hold back to this film is that while I was watching it, I was thinking to myself, I would never purposefully watch this again. So I definitely think it doesn't have a great rewatchability factor, which might tamper the enjoyment for some people. So overall, guys, Disclosure Day, 7.5 out of 10. I definitely recommend you check it out to form your own opinion. I've definitely heard mixed reviews on this film, but I definitely encourage people to go see it for yourselves and form your own opinion. But that's my thoughts on Disclosure Day. If you've seen it, let me know what you thought down in the comment section below. As always, please make sure to give this video a like and subscribe. And until next time, enjoy your movies. Bye-bye, guys.